A system can do everything it's supposed to do, every single person can do their job perfectly, and yet people can still die. How is that even possible? Well, to understand this kind of invisible failure, we've got to look at what happened one January morning on a really busy highway down in Florida.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's Interstate 4 in Florida, a major highway for commuters. The date is January 9th, 2008. It's just after dawn, the morning rush is already in full swing, and that road is packed with traffic.
And then, all of a sudden, this incredibly dense mix of fog and smoke from a nearby controlled burn just blankets the highway. We're talking in an instant. Drivers are completely blinded, just hurtling forward into a solid wall of white. There was absolutely no time to react.
What happened next was just total, absolute chaos. Nearly 70 vehicles, I'm talking cars, trucks, semi-trailers, they all collided at highway speeds in this massive chain reaction pileup.
And the human cost, it was just devastating. In all that chaos, 5 people lost their lives. Dozens more were injured, and for hours that entire interstate was shut down while first responders worked in pretty much zero visibility, desperately trying to pull survivors from the wreckage.
So here's the part of the story that's really unsettling. When the investigation was all said and done, the conclusion was that no one was technically at fault. The prescribed burn was permitted, the weather was being monitored, responders got there as fast as they could. Everybody, and I mean everybody, followed the rules.
So that brings us to the central question, right? If every single person and every agency did their job correctly, how on earth did this tragedy still happen? The answer, it turns out, lies in a concept that is absolutely critical to modern public safety.
And that answer is something called public safety integration. Really, at its core, it's all about making sure all the different pieces of the puzzle, every agency, all of their information, are connected and actually working together. And here's the key part, before a crisis ever hits.
See, for a long, long time, emergency response used what you could call a handoff model. You can see it there on the left. Police did their job, then kind of handed it off to the fire department, who then handed it off to EMS. But modern emergencies, they just don't happen in these neat little stages. The new integrated model on the right gets that agencies have to work with each other, in real time, sharing information constantly.
But to really get what integration is, it helps to first talk about what it isn't. And a really common point of confusion is the difference between integration and consolidation. They sound kind of similar, but trust me, they are fundamentally different things.
This slide actually shows the difference perfectly. Think of integration like a food festival, right? You got all these specialists, a taco truck, a barbecue pit, a dessert stand. They all do their one thing really, really well, but they coordinate on things like signs and tickets to create a great experience. Consolidation, on the other hand, that's like trying to shove all those different cooks into one giant kitchen with just one menu. You lose all that special expertise. Integration keeps those strengths. It just connects them.
A really great way to visualize how this connection creates strength is to think of a spiderweb. I mean, one single strand of that web is incredibly weak, right? It's super easy to break.
But when you weave all those strands together, you create this amazing structure that's both flexible and incredibly resilient. It can hold up under immense pressure. In public safety, those strands are things like coordinating with different agencies, engaging with partners like hospitals and schools, and getting the community involved.
And this integration happens in 2 really critical ways. First, you've got cross-scale integration. That's what connects the local, state, and even federal agencies. This is what makes sure a local incident doesn't spiral out of control. And then there's vertical integration. This is all about making sure that the leaders in some command post are getting real-time info from the people on the front lines, so their big decisions actually match what's happening on the ground.
So let's go back to Interstate 4. What happened? It wasn't that the web didn't exist at all. The problem was that the strands weren't connected before that fog and smoke rolled in. The fire managers, they knew about the burn. The meteorologists, they knew about the fog. The transportation officials knew all about the traffic. But that critical information wasn't woven together in time.
And this is the most crucial takeaway from all of this. You cannot build integration in the middle of an emergency. It's just too late. By the time that first 911 call comes in, the system you have is the only system you've got. For those drivers on I-4, there was simply no time to start connecting the dots once visibility dropped to 0.
This really changes how we should think about what makes a response effective. It's not just about reacting faster. True integration is all about foresight. It's about creating a system that can actually see a risk developing and act to prevent the harm in the first place, not just clean up after it happens.
And you might think, oh, this is all about fancy software and new technology, but it's really not. Technology can help, for sure, but it can't create integration by itself. As you can see here, the real foundation is trust. And that's something that's built brick by brick when people from different agencies actually plan together and train together. It's about building a culture where leaders value collaboration over protecting their own turf, and where the whole community is seen as a partner in safety.
So, all this leaves us with a really important question. The I-4 crash was a terrible tragedy, one born from these invisible failures in a system that was disconnected. It's such a powerful reminder that safety isn't just about what one person does, but about the strength of the connections between all of us. So it's worth asking yourself, in your community, is the safety net truly connected? Because the strength of that web is tested not on the clear sunny days, but in the fog, when we need it the most.